All right, let's get music going. I'm back. Hang on, I gotta get my music up. I am. Please hold. I am back and working on my chess library, chess puzzle game, whatever you want to call it. This thing. I'm gonna get some music here. The mixer looks pretty good on that. All right, let me. Yeah. We are coding. We are learning how to write. I am learning how to write in C#. Learning how to do unit testing in C#. In the way that C#, the way that .NET wants us to do it. That's sort of the challenge sometimes. Is I've done unit tests, I've never done it this specific way, and here we are. So this is what we're gonna do. So I know it's called pawn piece test. I don't know if I want to test my pawn as my first thing. And there's some interesting things to think about here for being able to test and decide whether my interface is nice. But sometimes writing your test helps you think about, well, what should my interface actually look like if I'm doing a test? So, yeah, I'll do a little bit of a pawn. I'll start my pawn piece test. So the pawn first test I'm gonna write is can move forward. I'm really curious what fact is. Attribute that is applied to method indicate that it is a fact that should be run by the test. It can also extend support customized definition of a test method. So I'm trying to learn how to do unit tests properly here as well. So the test I want, so here's the idea. I want to have a board. Let's do multi-line. So my idea is I want a board. Test move forward 1. All right, so we have some board with a pawn on it. And the valid moves should literally be this one space. All right. Test can move forward. All right, so the test is when I do get moves, so I should have some pawn. I need to initialize pawn piece. So I should have something like this: I piece pawn. It's gonna equal something. We'll pretend it's not null just so that I can get this. I need to get my so I don't know if the correct way to unit test would be to do a namespace like this. Would that be better to use that namespace, or should I use using like this? Oh, I also have to tell this test that it should be testing a specific project. So how do I do that? Add project to unit test C#. Benefits of unit testing. .NET. So I want to know how to do it using the command line. Creating a unit test project. Unit test project command line. So I have all these as part of my solution, but .NET new class lib X unit tests. All right, so I have to add a dependency. Yeah. So in my terminal, I need to add a dependency. So here's my solution. Cheslib test .NET add reference. So I need a reference to cheslib proj, like this. So this should make it a dependency. This should clear up. Okay, so it's saying that this test project is dependent on cheslib, but it's not the other way around. So cheslib can be sort of all its own thing, separate. All right, so let's keep moving. All right, so given a POM piece, I was thinking, so the types of things I want to be able to do is list. So I would do pom.get possible moves. And maybe I should just call this test get possible moves or something. Okay, but now I want to make some assertions, and the assertion I want to make is specifically that just this one position's in there. So I would do something like, I don't know, assert. All right, so I'm gonna Google it. I'm not 100% sure. Assert, or let's look up XUnit testing C#. All right, so I'm on the XUnit. Yes, I could pull this over here on the XUnit website, reading about how to do testing in C# because I've used NUnit a little bit in like some academic stuff. So I've taught C# in like an introductory program. I'm trying to level up my C# skills. I've also done some Unity stuff, but Unity, although uses C#, Unity and C, Unity, I don't even know if you can do unit testing in Unity. It's an interesting whole thing. I'm noticing a little weird thing on my webcam here. But I have no idea. There's this little line here between that C there. I just made a new little webcam thing. I'll have to figure out what that is. That's interesting. Let's keep going here. We've got I want just like examples. Assertion XUnit C#. Type-based assertions. Okay. I'm trying to write this unit test, and then I'm going to go implement these things. So sort of semi-test driven, where I'm testing my logic. This type of assertion looks to see if certain value object contains another value. Ooh, that's kind of cool. So assert contains. That's kind of what I want. I want to assert size. So assert true might be one way to do it, but I want to assert dot contains moves. So I think I'm saying moves on this side. And if I could probably read the diagram. If I is that a collection contains a given object. So assert moves contains. And the position that I'm interested in would be, assuming I have this board constructed. So I'm gonna do a 4x4 board. and I'm going to initialize my pawn to this position. Or even, here's what I'm doing. I'm going to start my pawn down here, and I'm going to move it across the board. And remember, this is, excuse me, this is like a puzzle game. So it's not, it doesn't follow the traditional chess rules. When I get to the end of the board, it doesn't necessarily cause my pawn to change, be promoted. That's what I should say. Okay. So my indices here, I go row column 0, 1, 2, 3. And then 0, 1, 2, 3. So I should have the following moves. It should contain row 3, comma 2. Right? Contain. Why doesn't it like that? Get the value of the current. Oh, and then it's a function. Fascinating. We need a function on the left side. What? Oh, where n is the element. This is an interesting way to write this. Assert contains very static methods. Okay, so I can always look at that dot. So if I wanted to, I could probably pull this up. Yeah, so here's all my assertion, my static assertion methods. What is this saying? Verifies that a collection contains a given object. A prime is int. Yeah. So I think this is saying that, well, this is how we're going to check each object. So it's not necessarily that you're asserting this, but asserting, you can do assertions on the properties of these things. So in this case, for better, so we know this is like an int position, a pair. So this has to match the type in this list. So you could, cool. So you could potentially have a more complex thing. So if you're getting a list of like pieces back, you can do, okay, I like this. So I'm gonna assert that if I get the possible, it's gonna look like this. Then I'm gonna move it forward. I also need to assert that the size, all right, so let's see if there's an assert size equals, assert equals. All right, so first, I want to make sure it has size 1. Assert equals equal. Expected and actual. That's interesting. Do not call this method. That's fascinating. Assert equal. Verifies that 2 sequences are equivalent. What if I do moves dot count 1? What does it tell me? Verifies that 2 objects are equal using a default comparator. The warning should be passed as expected. Okay, so we do expected on the left and the actual value on the right. Really? Do not use this or equal to check for collection size. Okay, well, what should I use for collection size? Collection. Verifies that the collection is not empty. Verifies that collection contains only a single element of the given type. Single. I could use that one. Okay. Assert. Excuse me. Had a little tickle in my throat. Single. Moves. All right. Asserts single moves. This should have no side effects. I don't know that I need to test that. But I could do a little thing here that like do it twice. So it moves again here. Ensure, doesn't ensure, test that get possible moves has no side effects. So the idea is if I call get possible, it doesn't actually move it. I don't know if that's doing much of anything. Could be a silly little thing. Probably redundant. I don't need it. But now pawn.move, try move, should be able to move to something that's going to actually have a side effect. So I should be able to move. Oh, so I'm wrong. See? I'm thinking about 0, 1, 2. Should be able to move to 2, 2. That should be the only place. Try move 2, 2. I should be able to assert true. This should return true. It should be allowed. So maybe before that, I'm going to do assert false pawn dot try move 3, 2. I shouldn't be able to move there. It should be the only place I can move is this single spot. No overload method. Oh, I gotta do as a pair. I'm torn. I always get a little bit torn on whether or not I should use pairs or just single arguments. The idea is I shouldn't be giving a row by itself. So I like it sometimes I like it as a single argument, but it tends to require more. I don't know. I'd be curious what other people think. So I'm gonna assert false. And I'm gonna actually, I wanna check. Yeah, this test is testing just can it move forward. Just can it move forward. All right, so this one should be false, and then assert. I want to do assert equal pawn. So I'm gonna check that the position hasn't changed. So the position should still be 3, 2. So I guess 3, 2 is a bad one. Let's try moving to 0, 0. Pawn dot position. Pawn's position should still be 3, 2. So we'll assert that at the beginning. Say, hey, what's the starting position? 3, 2. Try to move. Should be false, and the pawn should still have not moved. Assert false pawn dot has moved. The pawn should not has not moved yet, and then here it should still be false. Okay. So now here, after we've actually moved, I copied the wrong thing. Want to assert that this is now true. All right, it has moved, and that its position is now 2, 2. Okay. This is sort of the initial test here. And after I move, get moves should still have a single spot. So after I've moved, my board should look like this. Okay, just in that first spot there, and contains a single move that is now 1, 2. This spot here. Okay. And let's repeat this process. I don't know why I copied so much. I really just want to try move. It should still be false to go here. And it shouldn't modify. This should still equal 2, 2. And this should be true. Has moved. Should still be true. It should not reset to false. And then let's try a valid move, which happens to be 1, 2. This should be true. The position should be 1, 2. This has moved thing is overkill. I'm gonna actually get rid of has moved. Okay. We're gonna repeat this. So after this chunk here, my pawn should be up 1. And the one place it can move is 0, 2. If I try to move to 0, 0, I still have not moved, so I'm still at 1, 2. I move to 0, 2, it lets me go to 0, 2. And now the fun part. So now I should be, if my code is correct, my code should look like this. And I should have no moves. So should empty, is that right? If as a collection is empty, so it doesn't contain anything, I should still not be able to move there. And there are no possible. So I think this test, so we have test can move. And if I run my test, run all tests, I should get a failure. Total tests 1, pass 0, failed 1. I want to figure out how to get this .NET. So in the past, my explorers work when I'm within a specific project. I think it's because I have my VS Code's open one level above my solution here. So I'm gonna try reopening VS Code inside of my solution. CD, so right here. See if it'll detect it here now that I'm in this folder. Oh, this is a fun little piece I did on refactoring. Select project to launch. Let's do chestlib. You're gonna detect. Ooh, look at that! It detects them. Okay. All right. Score 1 for VS Code. Not that Visual Studio could not do this. All right. Let me. I have a lot of things there. Pull that out a little bit. Okay. Let us continue. Let us continue. So I was in the middle of writing a test. So I implemented test can move forward. I have no pawn piece. This test is gonna fail. Null pointer exception or something along those lines. So now let me make I'm gonna create some folders in here. Piece. Move eyepiece in there. And I might create a new file, pawn piece. Alright. Namespace CaptainCoder.chess. Public class pawn piece implements eyepiece. Gonna implement that interface. A lot of easy tests to do here. Like what is the name, color, blah 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 blah. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna add a constructor here. Yeah, add a constructor. Public pawn piece. We need a board for this, so we need an iChessBoard board. This dot board equals board. Let's make this a property with get private set. Does anyone know if I can make read-only properties? I would love to know if I can make read-only properties. I know with private set this is kind of true, but like deep down inside my core, feels weird to have a setter at all. And this probably just comes from programming in Java way too much. Alright, let's keep going here. Got a board, private set. Start position. We have to give it a start position. So we'll do an int start position. So these are things we have to initialize. Make it again a get private set. Position. It's going to be a get private set as well. Alright, so that's going to be the position we start at as well. We again get private set. Initially we have not moved. Get private set. And initially we have not been captured. I don't like all this white space. We gotta get a color. Alright, so nice thing, this dot name equals pawn. Although it might be nice to have some kind of label for pawns. Excuse me again on the cough. It should be a get private set equals pawn. Alright, even better. So I don't need this here. Color, get private set. What would be cool? Oh man, there's this game I'm just reminded of, Nightmare Chess. I think it's called Nightmare Chess. When I was in Scouts growing up, we used to play chess in Scouts on camping trips. So we'd bring like little chess boards. Someone made a game or had a game, I think they might have made this, what we called Nightmare Chess. It was a combination of like Magic the Gathering and chess for 4 players. So we had like, it was still a 8x8 board, I believe, but you had a smaller set of starting pieces. So I think you had one of every piece, and then you had pawns that are wrapped around. So you had your 5 unique pieces. Is that right? 5? Yeah, so you'd be in the middle, and you had pawns. All right. And then I think you had 2 pawns on either end, so you were like surrounded by pawns to start still. But you had cards you could play. So you'd have like a deck of cards that you'd draw from. When you would capture a piece, you got to draw a card. And then you'd have cards that would like, you know, let you do things that you normally couldn't do. So it wasn't just a pure logic game, but you'd start with like maybe you didn't start with, I think you started with like 2 cards. So everyone shuffle and draw. Oh, no, there was one deck. There was one deck that everyone got cards from. But you had stuff like Resurrect, where like you could if you had a piece of yours had been captured, you could like transform one of your pawns back into that. It was really cool. I think they like invented the game. I can't remember. But if anyone's heard of Nightmare Chess or something like Nightmare Chess, let me know. Okay. So here we are. And I am I need to get my test, get possible moves. All right, so I have my pawn piece now. I have a constructor for it. So my pawn piece test, instead of being null here, I can I can almost construct it. New pawn piece. And I need a board, so I'm doing null for now. And then my starting position happens to be 3, 2, like that. So I can make a pawn. I need to get a generic 4-piece board. So I'm gonna have to do an implementation of iBoard as well. These are not implemented yet, which is fine. Let's come up here and we're gonna create a new folder, board. Put iBoard in there. And I'm gonna create a new file just called like, I guess, chessboard. Well, chessboard's not quite what I want. It should be iChessboard, because the name of my interface is iChessboard. chessboard. Honestly, it should probably be called game board. It's not actually a chessboard. Can I do a refactor here? I don't think I use it in a lot of places. F2. I'm gonna call this a game board. Rename this file I game board. Naming, in my opinion, is one of the hardest parts about programming. No one ever knows exactly what I mean, including yourself. Anyone that thinks they're good at naming, if you're good at naming, I'd love to have a chat with you, because I struggle with naming all the time. Namespace CaptainCoder.chess public class game board. And I think my constructor for my game board is going to be public game board. I need to have the dimensions, int rows, int calls. Okay, so we have our rows and our columns. Oh, this needs to extend I game board. Someone tell me if I'm wrong by putting my properties above my constructor. I should look up a style guide. Yeah, this should be a get private set. And I guess I should do this. Size. Here's why passing things in like this sometimes feels wrong to me, because now I'm going to do this dot size equals size. But my underline, I know I'm going to have an underlying data structure that is a two-dimensional array. So I'm going to have a private two-dimensional array of I-piece, like this, like board. So this is like the actual contents of the board. And it's an I-piece question mark, is that right? Because it could be null. And then during my constructor, this dot board is going to be equal to a new I-piece rows calls, size dot rows, size dot calls. So the question I have in my mind is, do I really want this extra set of parentheses, or should I just do rows and columns? I think when I have multiple positions, I like have a start and end, it's good. But in this case, I don't need it because I have them separated. I don't know. I'll just do it like this. Do I need to make this a question mark? If I don't do a question mark, does that mean that this is guaranteed to be non-null? Like, I don't know. I don't remember. I'm learning C# syntax, styling. So how does nullable work? C# nullable arrays. I'm gonna make array parameter. Always reference types. So they're already nullable. You only need to use nullable. I don't think I looked at doing, but then I have to have a has checked. All right, I think parameter. Remember that, so you don't have to do anything. You already can pass null. This person's not asking the question. I'm essentially asking, should I? What is the correct styling thing to do here? But the compiler will yell at me, is sort of my hope here. I'm gonna just do I-piece board like this. Initializes like this, they should all be null by default. So internally I have to manage nulls. That's the thing I'm thinking. So here, let me try this, eyepiece. So down here's one way I could check. Piece X equals this dot board at 0, 0. X, let's try X dot board console dot write line X dot something. So I feel like it should yell at me saying, hey, this thing could be null. Get type. Now the type's just, this is, all right, I'm trying to learn. Yeah, so I want this to tell me that, hey, you have to do a null check. So I'm actually gonna say this is, can be nullables here. There we go, that's exactly what I want. I want to get the warnings telling me that, hey, this thing could be null. So I'm not making any guarantees. All right, so the answer is yes, I should put a question mark there if I believe that it should be nullable. I'm writing code such that my internal structure, if there's nothing in that space, it is null. Okay, so I've initialized this thing. I need to be able to add pieces to my board. I can do that in game board, but I think I made a mistake in my interface where I do in fact need to be able to have like an add piece. And I want to take in all the pieces all at once. So I'm gonna actually do, it's so frustrating to me because my hierarchy is this interesting thing where I have my piece. I want my piece to take in a board when you construct. So I guess I can do one of two things. I can either take in a board when I construct it, or yeah, so I can take in a board when I construct it, or my board can accept like add pieces to it later. It's a little bit of a what is that? Is that technically catch-22 when it's like circular dependency? So I have this weird circular dependency and I hate doing this. So this sort of tells me that I probably want like a builder, but I'm trying not to get too, I want to use this as an assignment for like, not necessarily beginner programs, but early programmers. And so do I really want a builder here? It's interesting. My pawn piece takes on a board and they try and reset themselves. There is a dependency here. This is, yeah. I do want to be able to call move on an individual piece and it knows how to move itself. So it needs a reference to the board. You gotta get the board in there somehow. And then the game board. So I think the like way to do it is not expose the internals, or I need a way to, or I need a thing that says like, let me add a piece to the board. So when you construct a piece and you hand it a board, it needs to then add itself to the board. Yeah, I'm annoyed by this. Maybe we can do a set piece. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and go with a on piece can get a board. Board needs to be able to have an add. I'm gonna make it an internal. Feels dumb if my interface has an internal. Maybe I do. Public bool add piece piece. Make it kind of a set. I think that's what I'll do. Adds the specified piece to this board. Yeah. And to this board. Alright, let's do it. And that. I hit something weird. Alright. You'll be able to add a piece. I'm just gonna have a set of pieces as well. Private set. Do I have to do hash set? Yeah, eyepiece. Pieces. Alright, so we're gonna have a set of all the pieces. You can't add the same piece twice. This dot pieces dot add piece. You can add pieces to the board. You can't remove them once they're part of the board. Another thing is, like, a piece shouldn't be part of more than one board or something. I don't know. Yeah, that's something too that I don't want to think about too much, but a piece shouldn't be able to be part of more than one board. I can think of a puzzle where you can, like, warp between boards or something, but I'm not going to get too crazy. Pawn piece. All right, so I guess I could do a weird check where it says, I feel like this should be internal. Anyway, I'm spending way too much time thinking about this. Let's move forward. So it happens I have this board.add self. So it's gonna add itself to the board. Okay. Init. Let's add a test for init. Oh, I have to finish my game board. Yeah, I'm gonna have to finish my thought process here. So I add the piece like this. So the idea is you should add all your pieces. Maybe reset board should be called init. Game board. Initializes. Initializes. So we're by initializing all of the current pieces that are on the board. So I have a question. Should I add a piece to the board, should I place it on the board there? The other thing is I'm sort of trying to say, like, I can't add the same piece to the board multiple times. So I'm having an exception. Thrown in, oops, wrong spot. Thrown if the specified piece could not be added to the board. Okay, so we're gonna say we can't add a piece to the board twice, and then we might have an exception. If we try and add it twice, the idea is, like, you should fail fast. If you try and add a piece again, this doesn't fail. It keeps going. But the thing I do is like, well, I can't add a piece to the board in a spot where another piece has a starting position. So I'm gonna do, so I have to like loop through all the starting positions for each eyepiece other in pieces. If piece dot start position equal to other dot start position, we're gonna throw a new what do we call it? Illegal operation, invalid operation exception. The cannot add two pieces at the same location and at the same start position. And we'll print out the name of both pieces. Position piece dot start position. Excuse me. Piece dot name piece dot other dot name. Cannot add to board because a piece A is already in that start position. Okay. And we'll put a interpolator there. Cannot add pawn to board because a pawn is already in that start position. And then we'll show the start position. Piece dot start position. So this will actually prevent you from adding the same piece twice. It'll throw an exception. So there's maybe something I should do there. Maybe I do this with link or something instead, but then it won't be. Let's see. Can I do it with link? Here, let's try it. Pieces dot where. So the question is this piece dot start position is equal to, oh, so this should be other dot start position first. And then does first element, when does it throw an exception? No element satisfies the condition or the sequence is empty, so I need to do or default first dot it empty. So I really want to check if we find something first. So my question is, does this or default? So do eyepiece question mark match, and then we'd say if match is not equal to null, throw this. So this is like the one trim. This is if your if throws an exception. This is the one case where I typically will say it's okay to do this. Call this other. Where I don't do curly braces. So typically I like the curly braces because for code reviews you don't modify as many lines of code. This one, we'll just keep it this way. In this way, when you do it this way, well, I'm throwing an exception. So there's nothing, I would never modify more than one if I was maintaining throwing that exception. But I guess you can make the argument that if I'm modifying the condition, it's easier to see that I modified just the condition. I'm not sure. So if other's not null, we throw an exception. Otherwise we add the piece. All right. So when we construct a piece, we add it. So this is why I'm torn on whether or not this is actually public. It's like tightly coupled with this here. But I can imagine a situation where I might want to add a piece later or something. So I'm going to leave it. But I'm like always going to add it during a constructor because my constructor is going to take a game board. I don't know. I know my pawn piece. I want them to always have it. So I think this goes here for sure. And I'm torn on add piece. I'm truly torn on add piece. Okay. I'm trying to get my pawn piece test to work. I'm not even close. A knit board clears out the entire board for so one way to do it would be board equals new, like this. New eyepiece rows columns. So this would clear it out and get size.rowsize.columns. I could also loop. I want to loop through each of my indices. For each, I'd like to do for each pair of indices. Does multi-dimensional arrays give us back? Get I want to do a for each on a multi-dimensional array. What does that even look like? But I want to do a for each on the indices. Set them all to null, then drop these in there. All right, so I'm gonna do a not clever way. Row equals 0, row is less than board. This dot board dot get length of the row dimension. Plus for int c equals 0, this dot get length dimension 1 are c plus plus, and then I want to do board row column equals null, and then I do a for each piece eyepiece piece in pieces. I'm trying to follow convention, so this should have an underscore because it's private. Then I go through all of my pieces and I do this dot board at. So here's where this stupid thing is going on. What I should, a stupid thing, where I do piece dot position dot row piece dot position dot column equals to piece. And on my interface, I must not specify row and column is a part of it. So row column. Come on compiler. Build. What did I do? Semicolon. P stop position. Oh, so I didn't do it here. Row column. What am I doing? Call these phantom errors sometimes because they're actually okay. Yeah. Cannot convert. No, it's fine. I haven't finished it yet. So I want to do something. So what I would really like is for this to be just piece dot position. That's what I really want. Can I index on a pair like that? No, that's too bad. Is there? This is me just exploring C#. C# index with pair of int. So I could do a dictionary. Doesn't seem like that is a thing. So what I could do is a dictionary from positions to eyepiece and call this board. And then the question is this me being dumb or me being super clever? So now in this case, I can do this dot board dot clear. Oh, I like that. Removes all keys and values from the dictionary. Boom, drop them all, and then just load it up. Yeah. Yeah. I like that better. I like it. I think I like that. All right, pieces, int row, int call is empty at position. So that makes this pretty straightforward where I say, I just check to see if this contains a key. This dot board dot has or contains key position. And get piece. This dot board dot get value. Like that. What is the exception that is thrown? That's kind of cool. I like this. What is the exception that is thrown by a dictionary, and or does a dictionary throw an exception if we do this? When you access it in this way, if there's nothing in there, what is the exception, and does it match what my interface says? We'll write a unit test and find out. But I like that, because it really makes me feel like this is quite clean. We're gonna init board, and then remember our piece has an init method that we call when we do that, so it knows how to like initialize itself. The weird, this is so annoying. I know. I just realized how I'm gonna do this. I realized how I'm gonna do this. Yeah. Yeah. I got it. I got it. I'm just gonna clear this out and then do a loop that initializes all of my pieces. Okay. My piece initting itself is gonna take care of setting it on the board. And when we add a piece, I realize what I'm doing. When we add a piece, this board is now gonna observe that piece. All right, so we're gonna have a little thing that whenever the piece changes, observers get updated. Okay, so there's gonna be this idea of a piece is an observable, and the board observes it. And whenever the piece changes its position, it will notify the board that it needs to move, and then I don't have to have a public, I don't have to expose moves. Okay, that's my big idea here. Let's see if I can get that in. Although I've been streaming for an hour, I should probably stop, take a break for mental health. Really don't want to, but I'm going to. All right, so I'm gonna put a little note here. Note, the piece will be observable. When you add the piece, it is set as the board sets itself as an observer. So there will be, it needs to be observable. So there's going to be like a delegate or an event or something. I can't remember exactly how you do it in C#, but I think there's like, you can say, hey, this thing is, there's a delegate type thing you can do. I've done it before. I've done it a couple times, but yeah, using the observer pattern. So to do, put this in here for now. And I'm gonna go ahead and stop there and commit. So I wrote a test, didn't quite get to implementing it. Real quick, let's do this. So we're gonna do iGameBoard gameboard 4x4 and passport in here. What is this saying? Cannot convert null. Is that a real warning? I think that's just left over from the build. Yeah. It's a fake. Bake out. Alright, this is still failing, but I'm feeling closer. Alright, I am done for now. Have a beautiful day. Maybe I'll be back later. See ya.